Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to your favorite fan-made podcast. This is Fan Talk, and I'm Kyle Berenchley, back here in my basement with my Rogue One poster. We're ready to rock and roll on this Wednesday. It is November. Last episode, it was the 1st of November, and now it's November 8th. And next thing you know, we'll be halfway through November. So buckle up, it's going to be a wild month. We have a lot to talk about today. Talking about some straight up ballin' by CJ Stroud, how he set rookie records and how he's surpassing expectations. We're going to mention the World Series. I know it's been about a week, but the World Series went down. And we're going to talk NFL, football, and college as always. And special, hear ye, I have a very special surprise that will be dropping on Friday that I will be telling you about in just a moment. But as always, welcome and thank you for listening to Fan Talk. This is a podcast that you can find on iHeartRadio, Spotify, and YouTube. Just search Kyle Berenchley, search Fan Talk. I'm on there. I appreciate the support. I appreciate you guys sharing it with your friends. And I'm just having a good time. Not expecting to be Pat McAfee or anything. Hitting a half-court shot, although I should try that. Why not, right? But I'm just having a good time, so thank you for your support. Okay, so for those who know and those who do not, I have another podcast. It's called Non-Professional Dating Advice. I've ended it, but I had a good time talking about dating stories with friends. I brought people on. We just kind of had a good time, dinked around. We dropped a new episode. We'll be dropping on this Friday in 2 days, November 10th. Non-Professional Dating Advice. One more episode. You don't want to miss it. The premiere is on Friday, so look for that. I'm bringing my friend Logan Burton back, and we are doing it, and it will be awesome. So stay tuned for that. Again, Friday, Non-Professional Dating Advice. Tell your friends. Okay. Let's first talk about the World Series real quick. I know this is old news, but this is just the nature of doing a weekly podcast. When the final game was literally last Wednesday, like just hours after I had uploaded the video. And so I talked about hopefully the Diamondbacks force a game 6, but that's just the nature of things. So congratulations to Texas Rangers, a first ever World Series title. They are champions of the world. They literally flipped the script. We're a 100-loss team 2 years ago, totally rebuilt, trusted the process, had a good farm system, and now they're World Series champions. So this gives hope to teams like the Pittsburgh Pirates, the Baltimore Orioles, Colorado Rockies even, teams that have been pretty bad the last couple of years. Keep drafting, keep farming, make some free agent signings, some off-season moves, and you too could potentially make a big splash in the world of baseball. Congrats, Texas Rangers. Diamondbacks, good job too. Okay, so that's a week off. Let's see what else happened. We already talked about Halloween. My sister's birthday. Man, they grew up so fast. If you have siblings, if you have family members, I assume you all do, tell them you love them. Tell them you appreciate them. Spend time with them. Because the next thing you know, they'll be grown up. Time flies. Okay. Let's talk about CJ Stroud. So CJ Stroud, he is a rookie quarterback out of Ohio State, drafted by the Houston Texans, second overall here in the draft. And the big thing was, if you follow NFL football, the big thing was, this was a very quarterback-heavy draft. There was, 4 quarterbacks that went in the first round. And the big debate was, do we take Bryce Young at number 1? Do we take CJ Stroud at number 1? No one was really thinking of taking Anthony Richardson at number 1. He was probably going to be, the second or third guy anyways. But it was like, who do we take? Do we take CJ Stroud, who's really good at Ohio State? Do we take Bryce Young, who's really good at Alabama? Both programs had elite receivers, elite offensive lines. Both guys just cooked. They just held a clinic, a festival while they were in college. Ultimately, the Chicago Bears made a trade with the Carolina Panthers. And the Carolina Panthers got the number 1 overall pick, and they drafted Bryce Young, which left the number 2 overall pick to the Houston Texans, and they took CJ Stroud. Interestingly enough, last season, the Houston Texans were actually the bottom of the barrel. They were projected to get the number 1 pick, and they would have gotten the number 1 pick if they did not win their Week 17 game against the Indianapolis Colts. Now, I remember watching this game. It was on NFL Red Zone, so I wasn't actually, watching that game. That's probably the least important game. The Colts weren't very good last year either. But I remember watching it on Red Zone, and Lovie Smith was the coach of the Houston Texans. He was on the way out. They were going to fire him. And this is the last game. They go down, they score a touchdown with no time remaining. So they can kick the PAT and go to overtime, or they can go for 2 and win. And pretty much if they lost, they get the number 1 pick. If they win, they would get the number 2 pick. And so Lovie Smith is just like, you know what? I'm already out the door. This is my final goodbye to Houston. This is my, up yours to the Houston Texans organization. He goes for 2. And they complete the pass. 2-point conversion complete, and the Houston Texans win on a walk-off 2-point conversion and get the second pick instead of the first pick. So a lot of craziness going on there. They're like, what are they doing? What are they doing? But in the end, they did get CJ Stroud, which so far, 9 weeks into the season, has been the right move. If you look at CJ Stroud compared to Bryce Young has struggled immensely, mostly because, partially because the Panthers organization's a mess. The offensive line's not very good, but also partially because he's a small guy. He just doesn't seem comfortable. He does not seem relaxed. He's not playing to his strengths. Whereas CJ Stroud, he's out there freaking bawling his brains out. Let me read you the stats from this last game. This win against Tampa Bay, which was a fantastic game. Go watch the highlights against Tampa Bay. He was 30 for 42, so 30 completions out of 42 attempts for 470 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions, and only got sacked 3 times, which a QBR of 70, I feel like QBR shouldn't tell the whole story. It's only 77, but still, his rating was 147. 5 touchdowns, almost 500 yards. That's college stats. That's what he did when he was at Ohio State, and they were playing their preseason game against Western Michigan or Northeastern Minnesota, and he was going for 5-6 touchdowns to Marvin Harrison. 5 touchdowns in the NFL, 470 yards. That's incredible. Like not even Patrick Mahomes does that on a consistent basis. Maybe he does have one game where he throws, 4 touchdowns maybe, but usually a quarterback who has a really good game throws, 3 touchdown passes. CJ Stroud did 5. So he's surpassing expectations. He's doing a lot better than Bryce Young, and it looks like the Houston Texans, as of right now, are doing well. They're actually in playoff position as well. They could make the playoffs. They're in the AFC South, which is a very under-competitive division. That division's up for grabs. Personally, I think the Jaguars get it, but anything can happen. The Texans are currently sitting at 4-4, only 2 games back, and it's incredible. Regular season stats, CJ Stroud has 14 touchdowns and only 1 interception. That is incredible. And he's already thrown for more than 2,000 yards. So, check it out. Basketball for college basketball has started. You guys like college basketball? I feel like college basketball kind of lays low from November, even into December. Once the new year hits and NFL football kind of dies down, at least the regular season ends and college, all the bowl games kind of end for college football, that's when college basketball kind of gets attention, right? It kind of lays low November and December. I bet a lot of you didn't even know college basketball had started. These first couple games, teams usually play, lower level teams. I know BYU and Utah State, the local teams, they were just playing these small schools like South Dakota Mines or Carroll College from Montana, just to get warmed up. But college basketball is back. Paige Bueckers, she is on UConn, Connecticut. She's returned. She had a season-ending injury back in 2021, did not play last year, but she is back. She is the next star, really. Caitlin Clark's in action. On the men's side, Zach Edey and Purdue are rolling the dice. So I'll talk a little bit more about that later, but just so it's on your radar. MLS soccer playoffs. I don't know if you guys watch MLS. It's kind of tricky because you have to have Apple TV Plus now. They used to put Real Salt Lake games on channel, I think it was channel 2.2, a local channel here in the area. Kind of similar to the Jazz where all fans could watch. Now you have to have Apple TV Plus. But go check those out as well if you haven't. Some fun matchups there. RSL is currently tied 1-1. They've done something different this year where they have a best of 3 series for the first round instead of just one game. So Real Salt Lake's playing Houston. Houston won the first game. Real Salt Lake won the second game in penalty shootouts. That was an incredible game. They're playing on Friday. So after you watch my non-professional dating advice video, go check out the RSL game. I could talk about Michigan sign stealing, but I feel like everyone else has talked about it. Personally, as a fan, it doesn't concern me too much. I haven't seen the implications of it quite yet. All I've seen is there's just been talk and complaining. So I'll leave that to ESPN to always talk about. I want to talk about the NFL schedule. I want to talk about some games last week and what we have looking forward to this week. Whew, here we go. You guys still with me? All right. So last week, they had, for the first time ever, an NFL game played in Frankfurt, Germany. I love the international series. I think it is the next frontier. I think Roger Goodell has the right idea, playing games in London, in Germany. They've played games in Mexico City before. I wouldn't be surprised if they go play in like Paris, France, even Canada. You know, a game in Toronto would be cool. It's awesome. I think it's great for the sport. It's great for exposure, like these international fans. It's so funny because the Chiefs played the Dolphins in a really interesting game. The Dolphins really struggled, and the Chiefs were the better team for sure. But it was fun to watch, and you just like watch the broadcast, and it shows the crowd. And you got Chiefs and Dolphins fans there, of course. And then you got dudes wearing Bengals jerseys, Packers jerseys. You got people wearing Vikings jerseys. You got people wearing Tampa Bay. It's just like, what in the world? I didn't even know people were fans of Tampa Bay over there in Frankfurt, Germany. It's just such an international sport now, and it's really cool to watch. We have another game this week in Frankfurt, Germany, Colts and Patriots. I'll make that pick here in a second, but it was really cool to watch. Also last week I mentioned CJ Stroud already balling out. That was a really fun game. The Ravens dominating the Seahawks. I said the Seahawks were a good team last week. Everyone was. And then the Ravens just stopped them. Ravens have taken out big, good teams like the Lions and the Seahawks. They're a team to watch. They might be the team to beat in the NFL right now is the Baltimore Ravens. It's not the Chiefs this year. It's not the Eagles this year. It's not the 49ers. It's the Baltimore Ravens. And with that, let's jump into picks. Let's talk some football, and let's see what we got on Week 10's docket. Thursday Night Football, Panthers at Bears. Now, let me take a drink and let that just sit. Thursday Night Football, the 1-7 Panthers, the 2-7 Bears. Nice. This one's going to be a snoozer. Unless you're a Panthers or Bears fan, I don't recommend watching this game. I recommend going and spending some time with your family, with your girlfriend, with your dog, with your grandpa, whatever you want to do. But this game is in Chicago. Justin Fields is still out. I think it's smart to let him fully heal. I think the Bears win this one. Panthers, last week I said they're not a horrible team, but they play horrible, if that makes sense. They just put themselves in bad positions. They really did have a chance against the Colts last week, but 2 pick sixes, you can't recover from that. So give me the Chicago Bears. And now we're at the Colts and Patriots. As I mentioned, this game is being played in Frankfurt, Germany. If any of you are spontaneous and want to go to that game, book a flight to Frankfurt. I'm sure it's in the thousands of dollars at this point. But Colts coming off a win against the Panthers. Patriots coming off an abysmal performance against the Commanders. They really should have had that game, but they're just, like I said, they're not a bad team. They just play horrible. And that's something I'll say about a lot of teams. Like there's difference. There's a bad team, and then there's teams that are not bad, but they just play horrible. I think the Colts win this one. Not much to say. I think Bill Belichick's on his last year, and the Patriots are going to go in full reboot after this season. Browns at Ravens. Now, this is a fun game because the Browns are currently 5-3. Let's talk about the AFC North real quick. AFC North, 4-way tie. Well, the Ravens are on top, and then a 3-way tie for second and fourth. Browns, Steelers, and Bengals all have a 5-3 record. They all currently sit in the AFC playoff picture right now, fun fact. So the Browns defense is very, very good. They managed to be 5-3, even though Deshaun Watson has not even really played, and when he has played, he's not been good. Usually when your offense is not good and your defense is, you only win about half the time. Like, look at the Jets. Like, they're 4-5 or 4-4. So, that's about right. But this Browns team's really good. They are a playoff team, I think, for sure. They're playing the Ravens, who are even better. This could be a barn burner. I think the Ravens win because they have an offense. Packers at Steelers. Hey, good for the Packers. They won a game. This game is in Pittsburgh. I like Pittsburgh to win this game. They're not great on offense, but their defense will harass Jordan Love all day long. And it might be a low-scoring game, but Pittsburgh wins. 49ers at Jaguars. Now, this game should be one of the games of the week. 49ers have lost a couple in a row. The Jaguars are playing good, both coming off byes. My initial thought is to pick the Jaguars at home, but I like the 49ers to bounce back and really save their season right here. So 49ers over the Jags. Sorry, Duval County. Saints at Vikings. Joshua Dobbs. Let me tell you about Joshua Dobbs. He's on the Cardinals. He's been on a bunch of teams. Always been a backup. Starts for the Cardinals this year in place of Kyler Murray. He's just kind of a placeholder, right? Gets traded to the Vikings. Doesn't even know the play calls. Doesn't even have any chemistry with the players. They put him in because Jaron Hall gets knocked out and is seeing, SpongeBob everywhere. Joshua Dobbs goes in there and leads game-winning touchdown drive to beat the Falcons in Atlanta. Incredible game. I like the Vikings in this one. Vikings over the Saints. Texans at Bengals. We saw what CJ Stroud can do. Joe Burrow's coming into form. The Bengals are good. I like the Bengals in this one because they're at home, and CJ Stroud can only do so much for his team, I should say. He can do it all, but he can only do so much for his team. I think the Bengals offense is better than Texans defense. Give me the Bengals. Titans at Buccaneers. I like the Buccaneers in this one to bounce back. They put up 37 against the Houston Texans and really should have won that game if it wasn't for the, CJ Stroud power there. So give me the Buccaneers. Lions at Chargers. I like the Lions in this one. Chargers did not look good against the Jets. The only reason they won is because they got turnovers on Zach Wilson. So I like the Lions in this one. Falcons at Cardinals. Kyler Murray is set to start. I don't know if that really changes much. I think the Falcons win this one, but I'd like to see Kyler Murray do well. I hope he's fully recovered, and we'll see what the Cardinals do moving forward. Giants at Cowboys. I think the Giants are probably the worst team in the league right now. Daniel Jones is out for the year now. Tyrod Taylor, there's no timetable for him to return. They're going to run with Danny DeVito, who sounds like he should be in the mob, not on the pitch. So I'm going to go with the Cowboys big win. Probably 40-10, maybe 47. I don't know if the Giants even scored a touchdown, actually. 43. Commanders at Seahawks. I like the Seahawks in this one. Commanders are a very mid team, I will say. They're very, very mid. Probably should have lost against the Patriots if the Patriots didn't play horrible. Give me the Seahawks to bounce back after their tough loss. Jets at Raiders for Sunday Night Football. Man, primetime this week is going to be great. Oh gosh. I really don't know. Honestly, I think the Raiders win this one. They're at home. Aiden McConnell plays well enough. It's going to be a low-scoring game because the Jets' defense is really good. I think the Jets' defense is probably, if not the best, second best in the league this year. It's just a shame. If they had Aaron Rodgers, man, who knows, right? Who knows? They might be 4-4 still, honestly. They probably could be, 7-1, 6-2 at this point. But I like the Raiders. I never really picked the Raiders. I despise the Raiders. I'll probably root for the Jets. But I don't know. It might be a low-scoring game. 13-9 is the final. I don't know. And then Monday Night Football, Broncos at Bills. Broncos coming off their bye. They're on a 2-game win streak. They're playing hot. I love to see them beat the Bills, although it is in Buffalo. Josh Allen has the potential to really go off. They didn't play horrible against the Bengals. Didn't play great either. I'm rooting for the Broncos, but I think the Bills win this one. It'd be huge for the Broncos, though. So Broncos country, let's ride. Prove myself wrong. I dare you. We'd love to see it. So those are my Week 10 picks. Thank you guys for hunkering down. Let me know what you guys think about the picks. I like doing the picks for myself. It just gives me, topics to talk about. When I'm looking over here, I'm looking at the schedule. It says, team versus team. And then I just talk about different things that happen to them throughout the week. I cover a lot of the NFL topics that way. But let me know what you guys think below. Thank you guys so much for listening to Fan Talk. Spotify, iHeartRadio, and YouTube is where you can find this. And remember, a special edition of Non-Professional Dating Advice is dropping on Friday. So tell your friends, keep an eye out for that, and enjoy your Wednesdays. We'll see you on Friday.